Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of a lovely little show that we like to call The Family Guys. It is Toogie, joined once again by my good friend, Mr. Sin for the win, as we return from, a brief break between episodes because, man, oh man, have you and I had horrible luck in 2024 when it comes to illnesses.
Yeah, it was my turn for COVID.
Yeah.
And the voice isn't even still like fully recovered. Like it's not like to its most strong state either. But hey, we're pushing through it, and we get to meet Joe Swanson today, and that's the best part.
Yes, indeed. We're covering Season 1, Episode 5 of Family Guy, A Hero Sits Next Door in this episode. And, well, I mean, we have a lot to cover. I think we can get right into it. You know, the pleasantries, push them to the wayside. Let's talk about this episode, originally airing on May 2nd, 1999. I was 5.
Yeah, I was 9.
Written by Matt Weitzman, I believe, and Michael Barker, both of whom would go on to eventually, at certain points in time, be the showrunners for American Dad in the future.
That's how a white man writes an episode. Oh, man. Please watch The Longest Yard if you haven't, those of you out there.
Yes, the 2005 Adam Sandler version of The Longest Yard, which that's a film where I'm like, I'm not going to be able to go back and watch this, and it's just not going to live up. Like,
I saw it a couple of years ago. It was still pretty funny.
Okay.
Chris Rock ties it together, but also Adam Sandler's great. It's honestly holds up. Again, I'd probably need to watch it. I think the last time I watched it was like pre-pandemic or during the pandemic, so who knows?
That's fair. Comedy films, I mean, once you're talking about things that are like over or close to 20 years old,
yeah,
you're playing with a little bit of fire in terms of like what was, all right back then and what isn't now.
And just simply like what is relevant too.
Yeah. Like earlier this year, I watched Dodgeball. And there's some moments in that where you're just like, ooh, that didn't age too well.
I love that movie. But yeah, I'm sure there is. I'll have to actually go back and watch. But I mean, on the topic, I mean, we're watching Family Guy back, and there's a lot of that same kind of stuff in there where it's like, yeah, especially one big joke it's a big joke in this episode simply because of a topical thing happening right now. We'll cover that when we get to it. But yeah, I watched that. I was like, oh my God, that would be real bad if that came out right now.
Yeah, that's how it works, right? It's like for certain content like that, you have to try and view it from the perspective of what was going on at the time, where society was at the time. And, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, if you can watch something like that now and just be like, ugh. That's a sign of growth,
Yeah.
Like I equate that to, God forbid, I still have Facebook. I use it mostly to keep up with older family members and stuff like that who aren't as good with texting or whatever else. And Facebook memories are my daily dose of cringe.
Oh God, I hate
are my
what
old
I posted.
Facebook memories.
Yeah,
and that's the beautiful thing about them, though, is because it's just like, oh God, what was wrong with me? But that's a sign of progression and that you're not the same person you were before. Like, if you can look at a Facebook memory of yours from like 15 years ago and you don't cringe at it, that doesn't speak very positively to you, I would say. Unless, of course, you were like 30 and now you're 45.
Yeah, unless it's actually funny.
Might want to see some personal growth.
Yeah, it's so funny you brought that up. I came across one today that I looked at. I'm like, who the fuck is this person? Like, I was 2011, so I was 21 at the time, and I was just like, ugh. Like, it was stupid. Oh, I hated reading it. I just wanted to like delete it, but I was like, no, that's fine. I'll just just leave it up.
It's funny because obviously most people that know about this podcast, of course, know us from, our hockey stuff and everything like that, and YouTube side of things. And in regards to that, this time of year, especially for Facebook memories, is huge. In regards to just like, yeah, the Boston Bruins won. Oh, the Boston Bruins lost. And especially back in my latter years of high school, I had a friend. She was a massive New York Rangers fan. So it's just constantly us. Facebook memories are just us two bickering back and forth about those two teams.
Oh, that's great.
But there was one. I spelled the word really, RELE.
Ew, that's not even good.
To like short term it, and that's
but
thing.
Oh man,
Other memories I've seen from people were also spelling it that way. So apparently that was
like
just
relay. It's like the name Renee with an L. It's relay.
Oh, God, yeah.
Why didn't you just do RLY like a fucking civilized?
I don't know if that was a thing yet, man.
Maybe, yeah, maybe not. Yeah. Oh my God. Well, here's the thing. I used to say I used to just change spellings of things that didn't make sense. Like for chillin', like, oh yeah, I'm just chillin'. I would literally, instead of just being like CHILLIN, short version, you leave off the G, I'd put an EN, chillin'. I don't know why. Mom's an English teacher. She would have hated it, but like,
I have a couple of those where it's like, chill and then IN apostrophe. If you're gonna type the fucking apostrophe, just put the G, you fucking loser. Like,
or like, back in the day when like, I don't know if it was a big thing there, but like here in California at least, it was big thing to say like late for a while, like as goodbye. All right, late.
That was not a thing.
No, yeah, that definitely seems like a West Coast thing.
So you guys shortened later to late.
Yeah, late.
What the fuck?
But even pre that, I used to say like laters, but I would. This was like back when I was playing fucking Warcraft 2, so that's how long ago it was. Like Warcraft 2 and StarCraft Online. To my like clanmates, I would say LATAZ, latas. I mean, yes, my name had XXX underscore cool name underscore XXX.
Well, like I did like L8R, but
that's solid. That's a good text. That's good. That's good texting language.
Oh God, we're all right. We were both just terrible people. That's what we're discovering.
Yeah, pretty much.
So this episode of Family Guy that we're allegedly talking about, the episode opens with Stewie reading Machiavelli and Sun Tzu's The Art of War.
Which I love.
Lois,
Machiavelli, you've taught me nothing.
Oh, God. Lois takes the books and turns on the Teletubbies. As Stewie protests, those books may hold the secrets to enslaving all of mankind. Ooh, fuzzy.
I love it. I love this as much as when they have Brian be a dog. Those moments where they have Brian be a dog to acknowledge that Stewie is like, in fact, a baby is.
Right.
God, it's so funny. I don't know why. That's like one of the things I love the most about Family Guy.
Stewie is mesmerized by the show as, I don't know if you caught this, each Teletubby had a different antenna on their head, such as rabbit ears or a satellite dish.
Oh, dude,
instead of like their actual designs of whatever the fuck was on their head. I never watched the Teletubbies, and I think my parents are thankful for that every day.
I mean, it's bizarre. Like, it's a fucked up concept when you think about it.
It is very weird, and like the Sun Baby, and just
who's like a 20-year-old woman now, or like, yeah, that's the craziest part. It's like they showed a picture of the Sun Baby where she is today. She's just in fucking college. I'm like, cool. There's a Reddit thread dated 2 years ago stating that she is now 27 years old. So she's almost 30. The Sun Baby from Teletubbies. Yeah, I was too busy at 4 years old watching Barney and Nickelodeon. Yeah, I never watched Barney too much. I did watch a lot of Nick Jr. I remember Gullah Gullah Island. That was the show that I remember the most.
I remember the name, but I don't think that was ever something I watched. That was the one with the frog, right? Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, it was like a big yellow frog or whatever that.
Oh, man.
There were some weird shows back in the day, and we're talking about one of them. And it's
Family Guy. We go off on tangents right now.
That's what this show is.
I love it.
Peter changes the channel on Stewie, releasing Stewie from his trance as he then promises Peter a quick and painless death as a reward.
Yeah. Also, just to, like, those Teletubbies look like they're fucking on hallucinogens, the size of their pupils. I don't know if that was purposely done or if that was just an animation choice, but like, because like all they're doing is looking at a caterpillar, they all look like they're tripping ball sack.
Basically, yeah. I mean, if you look at like the actual Teletubbies too, like they're fucking horrifying looking.
They are.
Like, I'm sorry, those things are nightmare fuel to this day. By the way, Peter changed the television to the Annie documentary about the other guy from Wham, aka Andrew Ridgeley.
Yes.
Which, you know, there's worse outcomes than to be known as the other guy from Wham.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I was the main guy in Sympathy Ends. No one fucking knows who that is, do you? No, that was my metalcore band in my early 20s. Oh, man.
Shout out. So, you know what's funny? I literally had to look it up. I'm just like, okay, Andrew Ridgeley. He did 3 albums with Wham, released 1 solo album in 1990, and then was just like, I'm good. You know, he's like, I don't need the public spotlight. And the funny thing is, it's probably because he saw like what George Michael's life was like.
Yeah.
Where it's like he was just constantly in the goddamn spotlight. And it's like, I would imagine seeing somebody like, you're going to go one of 2 ways about it when you have, career paths go a different way. You're either going to be like, oh, fuck, I wish I had that. I wish I had that fame and fortune. Or you're going to have that viewpoint of like, fuck that. I don't need that. And,
good for him. I hope he did well for himself. Fulfilling life.
Yeah, and I mean, he married the lead singer of Bananarama, which...
God, I don't know who that is.
Sir. Cruel Summer, sir. The Karate Kid soundtrack, sir. Our friendship's being tested by episode 5.
Yeah. It rings no bells. I'm looking at their fucking 80s as hell. Holy crap.
Oh, yeah, it was...
Jesus.
It was the style at the time.
Dope-ass style.
Yeah.
I can see where this emo scene got a lot of its ideas from.
Mm-hmm.
From the 80s. Yeah. Yeah, good for him. Wood.
Anyway, Bananarama. We cut away after the opening credits to Happy-Go-Lucky Toys, where Peter's boss, Mr. Weed, is trying to rally the team for their upcoming softball game, recalling being embarrassed by the team that they played, the Novelty Toy Maker softball team, who had glasses that would remove people's clothing. And Peter was the only one to wear underwear.
Oh, yeah.
Not their strongest opening joke.
Yeah. Oh, it was... I figured I didn't even notice no one else was wearing underwear, I guess. Yeah, not the strongest opener.
Peter mentions that he hates that other team more than spinach, traffic jams, and the last few years of MASH, where Alan Alda took over and the show got too preachy.
Yeah, I'll take his word for it because I've literally never watched a second of MASH. That's just one of those where it's like, that's one of those 10%ers that they love to throw in, like at least one per episode.
Mm-hmm. That was one of those shows where it would be on before or after a show that I'd actually be interested in watching.
Yeah.
Like I could have sworn MASH was on like TV Land at a certain point. And it's like growing up, I'd like to watch like Gilligan's Island on TV Land with my dad because he really likes that show.
Yeah.
Or like the Munsters or something like that. And then it would be like, up next, MASH. Okay, what else is on? But maybe it's one of the most famous shows of all time. And I mean, maybe it does hold up. But you're also talking about a show that aired from 1972 to 1983. Like, you know.
Yeah.
We're a bit removed.
Yeah, just stage. A little.
Mr. Weed introduces his ringer for the softball team, Guillermo.
Oh, man.
And someone that coincidentally during the interview, Mr. Weed perved on by using said novelty glasses from the year before.
Yeah, it was established pretty early on that Mr. Weed was homosexual.
Yes.
Well, yeah, because it was the statue of David penis, right? Yeah. I shall call you
Call you
Eduardo.
Eduardo.
Yep.
Peter is trying to get Mr. Weed to take on a new idea of his, a new project, as Peter tries to introduce the Facts of Life Transformers. Where for Blair, cute as a button, fat as a cow, radioactive scorpion are the 3 levels.
Oh my god.
I thought that joke was mean as hell.
It's mean as hell, but it's so ridiculous that it's funny.
Holy hell. And what's funny to me is like I never really watched The Facts of Life. That's another show that was just before my time.
Yeah, same.
But Lisa Whelchel, who played Blair on The Facts of Life, in like 2011, 2012, she was on Survivor, a season of Survivor. And that was like a big part of the season, is because every time on Survivor where it's like, this person's famous, get them the fuck out of here, they don't need the money. I think she finished in second. And it was one of those things where, you know, a lot of like the story of that season was covering her being like, I've had a rough life thanks to being like a child star and stuff like that. But this time, kind of isolated, allowed me to kind of process things and stuff like that. It was like, oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
And then here's Family Guy.
Here's some more trauma.
Jesus Christ.
Oh.
A little bit mean. Peter also has an idea where Natalie turns into one of the spitting lizards from Jurassic Park.
I like that he calls it a spitting lizard. That's just so Peter Griffin.
So fun fact, I was watching, because my wife and I are gigantic fucking nerds, I was watching Jeopardy. And
love Jeopardy,
in fairness, super nerdum, they're doing a Masters tournament on Jeopardy.
Yeah.
And it's amazing to see these fucking superhuman robot brains be like, which one of our superhuman robot brains are the smartest?
Yeah.
And one of the questions tonight was like, oh, it was discovered that T-Rexes had this. And the answer I thought was going to be feathers or whatever, because there's that whole conversation over the past like 20 years about, oh, how many dinosaurs actually had feathers? Apparently, T-Rex had lips. And I don't know how to feel about that.
So it's a fucking 21st century glow up for T-Rex.
It just keeps getting more.
New spokesperson for Khloe Kardashian's lip line. It's just the fucking T-Rex from Jurassic Park
with this fucking lip filler just popping the lips.
Yeah.
God.
You ever seen that video where they replace all the dinosaur screams in Jurassic Park with yas?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have.
So there you go. There's the ad right there. I should be in marketing.
Back at home, Peter, Chris, and Brian are watching Wheel of Fortune with the board reading, Go Uck Yourself. A woman solves, Go Tuck Yourself In. As Chris says, well, Peter, to his dad, that his dad was close, while Peter can't believe he missed the clue, my hairy aunt.
No, it's 10 out of 10. That's a 10 out of 10 joke.
Did South Park top this with Naggers? 7 years later or whatever. They push the envelope with it more.
They push the envelope more, but I think this nails it a bit more. Just because, like, it's mostly a sight gag. Because when you see it, like, yeah, I don't know. For me, and I'm biased because it's Family Guy, but yeah, I think they nailed it a little bit more.
Peter looks to head to softball practice to avoid meeting the new neighbors, recalling the time he let a previous neighbor borrow a toaster.
Oh, yeah.
Leading to a divorce suicide joke. Like,
yeah, it's probably borderline. I still chuckled.
That's fair.
It's yeah.
Lois says they might be very nice people, as Peter predicts they'll have skeletons in their septic tank. Cut to practice where Brian, another example of him being a dog, Brian's on the bleachers panting, resulting in a woman thinking that he's hitting on her.
Yeah, it's like, and that's one of the things I love so much when he's clearly being a dog, but then he's still being anthropomorphized by people around him. Yeah, it's great.
The happy-go-lucky team is missing their starting pitcher due to his wife giving birth, and Peter asks if the baby's coming out of him. That was a good one.
Yeah.
Brian asks what's more questionable, Peter's pitching arm or Bill Clinton's integrity? Leading to a laugh track and awkward waiting.
Yeah, that's how long ago this was. Bill frickin' Clinton, man.
Yeah.
We've had...
I mean, think about it, right?
Presidents that we've had.
2 Bush terms, 2 Obama terms, a Trump term, and a Biden term. And this show, I mean, granted, it was canceled for a little bit, but it's on the air. It's still relevant.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is about this particular show, right, is I was thinking about this the other day. I was seeing a lot about The Simpsons. And The Simpsons have, over the last couple of seasons, actually undergone a bit of a revival. They're starting to get better reviews for their more recent seasons. And in saying that,
I can't believe they're still making new shows. That's actually incredible.
And, Seth MacFarlane's talked about, like, I'll just keep doing the show for as long as they let me do the show. I feel like, we're talking about, like, oh, man, we've already seen, 4 presidents and everything. Technically 5, since Clinton was around at the time. But if a show like The Simpsons can really undergo, I mean, dude, there have been video essays in regards to the decline of The Simpsons.
Yeah.
Wikipedia right now lists them as having 35 seasons with 767 episodes.
Jesus.
If they can undergo this kind of resurgence in these latter seasons, I mean, it's not going to be surprising at all to be like, yeah, no, Family Guy's still on the air 10 years from now, 15 years from now. I mean, The Simpsons debuted in 89.
Jesus.
So
that would have been Bush Sr. then, right? Fucking hell. So they had Bush Sr.
Yeah.
Was there anyone in between him and Clinton? I was so young, I don't think so, but I can't remember.
No, it did go HW and then HW and then Clinton. So God damn. Anyway, as we just continue our tangents, why not? Just let us be. Peter ends up drilling Guillermo in the knee with a pitch, injuring him, as Mr. Weed promises to fire Peter if he cannot find a replacement ringer.
But shout out to Peter, who has a submarine release. He's a real one for that, man. Submarine pitchers are king, and knuckleballers.
The bane of my existence in any baseball video game.
And that's the only windup I will use playing as a pitcher.
Jesus Christ, there is nothing worse than playing a game of MLB The Show, and the next thing you see is a pitcher with that underhand submarine release,
and you're just to hit off. But dude, I always make a picture. Last one I made was a submarining knuckleballer.
You're going to hell.
yeah. It was just the biggest fuck you to everyone.
Peter fears that he won't be able to find a ringer and will once again have to become a Calvin Klein model, leading to them spoofing a commercial of inner monologues as Peter wonders what the bad guy's name from Tron was. Do you know?
That was such a short-lived commercial, I'm pretty sure. I remember watching the DVD commentary to this years ago, and they mentioned how flat this joke hit because it was such a short-lived Calvin Klein thing that probably even by the time it came out, it was already dated.
Did you ever see Tron?
Mm-mm.
I can't say I did either. I had to look it up. Ed Dillinger was the bad guy from Tron. So
don't even know what else he's been in. So don't blame me there.
That was the character name.
Oh.
He was played by David Warner, who, let's see, David Warner. All right, he was a theater actor, and he was in some stuff. He was in A Christmas Carol. He was in Titanic, Scream 2.
Well, clearly not the Australian cricketer. There.
Star Trek 5 and 6. Dude, this guy had fucking range to him. Sheesh. Anyway, look up David Warner. I'm sure he was a phenomenal actor. It certainly looks like he was based off of his body of work.
Holy shit. I'm trying to see if he was in anything that I have watched.
Dude, he was in fucking Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, he was a professor.
Yeah.
Oh, legit.
He was also in Ice Cream Man,
Actually,
a horror movie starring Clint Howard as a murderous ice cream man.
Jesus.
This is one of those actors where you're just like, oh yeah, if you see him, you know him. Clearly.
He just worked and worked and worked. Wow.
Tremendous stuff.
He's like Danny Trejo.
The Danny Trejo of his time.
Yeah.
We cut back to the Griffin house as, well, technically, the Swanson house, as they're in the driveway next door as Lois meets Bonnie, a brunette for this episode only, before they change her hair color.
No, Bonnie's always a brunette.
No, she's got like the jet black hair.
Wow, what? Yeah, but doesn't she have jet black hair in this episode?
No, it was more of a brown brunette color.
No.
Yeah.
I don't believe you.
Well,
No,
I'm sorry.
Kevin Bacon wasn't in Footloose. What the fuck?
Yeah, I know. It caught me off guard, too, because I watched that scene and I'm just like, wait a minute. And then I went back and it's like, oh, that's... But, I mean, they did it a couple of times in regards to character changes very early on, you know?
Oh, yeah. It was Auburn in her first appearance. How did I legitimately did not... Oh, my God. Yeah, she has auburn hair. It legitimately... I didn't notice. It's like C-3PO's silver leg. No one notices. They just assume he's all gold.
Exactly like that. You nailed it.
It's the definition of Mandela effect. That's insane. I just saw her with black hair. That's crazy.
So Lois meets Bonnie in the driveway as her and Joe, her husband, have moved from Providence. Lois talks about Quahog having excitement like the big city, recalling the bingo caller losing an eye last week. Which, yeah, okay.
It's decent, yeah. You think it's going one way and it goes the other. Yeah, it's not the strongest.
Stewie tries to run away, but he's on a leash. Frustrated, he states, "Oh, to be the Lindbergh baby right now." Which was a much better show.
Yes. And much darker, but fuck yeah.
They
will reference the Lindberghs quite a bit in these early seasons as well.
Yeah. For anybody who somehow doesn't, I mean, it's a story from almost 100 years ago, for God's sakes. But yeah, the 20-month-old son of Charles Lindbergh was fortunately abducted and killed out of the Lindbergh home in 1932.
Supposedly, yeah.
Yeah. And we won't go into the questionable character of one Charles Lindbergh himself. That is worthy of its own podcast.
Yeah.
But yeah, a darker joke to say.
Our next podcast, the Lindbergh Files. Be on the lookout.
Joe backs out of the garage in his truck as Stewie promises that Joe will bow to him.
I love that.
In the backyard, or Meg's in the kitchen. Sorry,
she's in the kitchen. Yeah,
Kevin's she's in the kitchen. Backyard. She's looking into the Swanson's backyard as she's daydreaming of the Swanson's son, Kevin, asking her out. As Chris states that he's definitely gay. Peter's concerned about not being able to find a replacement, as strong as Guillermo, who he once saw benching Mr. Weed in the locker room.
That could have all kinds of implications.
Yeah.
He could have been benching him, but
yeah. Just, it's good. You gotta work the upper body a little bit and develop your power game.
Yeah, and nothing better than a spotter who can just get up.
Peter's frustrated that he'll have to meet the new neighbors, as Lois always tries to make him socialize. Cocktail parties, school functions, and planting trees in Jerusalem where he can't tell the difference between Israelis and Arabs.
And that is the thing that would not come out today. Anytime in the past few months. Honestly, anytime in the past few years, but especially not since late last year.
Yeah. Moving on.
Yes.
Peter's dismissive of Joe, who finds Peter funny. Joe asks to borrow a screwdriver, leading to Peter saying soon he'll be using his dry cleaner, his supermarket, and even his postman. As he states to Brian, "Can you believe that guy? What an ass."
And he looks very different in that scene too. The way he's animated, he looks very small to my eyes. I don't know what it was. It stood out to me. It's almost like when they would animate him as a child. It was like in between full Peter size. Maybe it's because the hat he's wearing. No idea.
Peter and Brian are watching TV as Peter recalls trying to recruit a Japanese ringer to entice him. As Peter's pitch is he'll love him long time, a Full Metal Jacket reference.
Uh-huh.
As Brian leaves to chew on the back of his ass for 5 minutes. Which apparently on TV it's censored the back of his leg, but Hulu at least, back of the ass.
Hulu's the real one.
Yeah.
No censors on that.
Any thoughts on Full Metal Jacket? Or have we had too many too many side streets?
Honestly, I've only ever seen that movie full through like once.
Same.
I have to probably make myself watch it. There's just so much other stuff on my list. But I do love the reference to just like Japanese superstar baseball players because like they're even bigger now. But like back then, they were like really starting to like come into the MLB and stuff like that. And it's a good call out to that. Hopefully that guy doesn't get into betting trouble.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, just you just got to make sure you're careful who you're friends with.
Yeah.
Apparently. Yeah.
That interpreter that he had was a little shady.
Yeah, he's going to jail. Lois has invited the Swansons to Peter's game, where Lois mentions Joe having played baseball in college, leading Peter to bring over the screwdriver to the Swansons. As Peter walks in, Joe is putting stuff away, and Peter says, "Oh, don't get up." As Peter blames Tourette's on his previous outburst, Peter gets Joe to play, promising it'll be as much fun as copyright infringement as Peter turns into definitely not Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, well, hey, no, we can say it now. He's fucking Mickey Mouse. Then it's now public. What's it called? Free access now. Yeah. Because I'm pretty sure, at least very recently, Mickey Mouse became, at least the drawing for it, kind of became public domain in some kind of way because the copyright was so fucking old.
The Steamboat Willie version.
Ah, okay, just the Steamboat Willie version. Yeah. Well, hey, whatever. Damn. I really thought I had a gotcha moment right there, but
at the game, a member of the Pawtucket Pranksters gives a happy-go-lucky employee a new gum that makes him addicted to heroin.
Which is a fantastic bit. I'm cold. Like, it's just, I love those. They're just so fucking out there. Like, joke gum, you're addicted to heroin now.
Peter panics as Joe is revealed to be wheelchair-bound with the line, "Holy crap, he's a crapple." Hard cut to commercial.
Yeah.
So up to this point, obviously, they had done a good job of hiding it with Joe, right? Like, he had been covered by boxes when he was putting trophies away. He was in his truck, stuff like that. So they did build up to the, like you said, subverting expectations. They did it right out of the gates with Stewie and everything like that. And I mean, you know, it's a common theme throughout the show.
Yeah.
Peter tries to calm down Mr. Weed by saying maybe they won't hit too many balls to him, to which Joe responds by calling shortstop, which I thought was great.
That's a good one.
On the bleachers, Stewie's tortured by Lois and Bonnie's household conversations, while Meg can't get any reaction out of Kevin. Joe makes a good play defensively, Peter yelling, "Way to earn that parking space." Yeah.
Don't care. Fucking, that is hilarious. Oh.
As Stewie becomes convinced that Joe is a cyborg.
Go cyborg! God. Yeah, so every single B story so far has been a Stewie B story, right? Like, we have yet to have any other B story besides, like, Stewie's is plotting something.
His weather machine, the man in white.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. So,
mind control device.
Yeah.
Everything has been a Stewie B story so far, and I cannot remember when the first B story comes out that isn't involving him, but it works. Like, their formula is just crack on. It's just bang on in those early seasons. Like, they found what worked, and they just kind of just not, I don't want to say recycled it and like pounded it in the ground. They just like milked it for all it was worth. And that was the beauty of the show. That's what got me into it. I thought it was, obviously fantastic. A genius baby taking over the world and stupid dad doing dumb stuff with a smart dog.
The game comes down to Joe, who hits an inside the park home run for the win. Peter pretty much immediately becomes jealous that no one's thanking him for finding Joe. The Swansons host a celebration party, leading Peter to be even more jealous, trying to jump into the pool to steal attention, which doesn't work.
And I'm pretty sure he says when he falls into the pool, Peter fell into the pool with his clothes off instead of on. I replayed this a couple times. I'm pretty sure he's supposed to say, oh, yeah, I fell into the pool with my clothes on. That's so Peter Griffin. But he very distinctly says off.
I didn't catch that, so fair enough.
Has always bugged me.
Tied on the scoreboard for things the other didn't notice.
Yeah, here we go.
Mr. Weed at the party is enthralled by Joe's idea of a line of toys to promote positivity amongst the physically challenged. Peter hates the idea of Beanie Baby in a bubble, selling his idea of Tootie turning into a stink bug.
Yeah, was Bubble? No, that's crazy. This came out in '99. Bubble Boy wasn't released till '01, so I wonder where he got the bubble idea from. Because I was wondering that, and I had to look it up. I was like, Bubble Boy wasn't that old, was it? And no.
I mean, I'm sure it was just an idea at that point. Like, oh yeah, no, put him in a bubble, keep him safe. I don't know. I mean, you already live in a world where the iron lung exists, where it's just
true.
Like,
but this is the part of Family Guy where it's so far in the past that I think we could start our own conspiracy of them telling the future.
I mean, people have done it with The Simpsons. So
exactly.
Yeah,
I think we should be the ones to start that here on this podcast. Hey, viewers, don't tell anyone.
Mr. Weed tells Peter to go get a drink for Joe, leading Peter to saying he's stealing his friends, the way he wears his hat. Well, no, you can't take that away from me. He can't take that away from me, which apparently
song reference
is a song reference. I had to look this up. I had no fucking idea. Gershwin and Gershwin. George and Ira Gershwin.
Yes, that makes sense.
In 1937.
Jazz, baby. Yep. I played so many Gershwin and Gershwin songs in school jazz bands, man.
I had never heard of these people before in my life. So.
Yeah, I'm assuming most people would, and that hurts my heart as a jazz man.
I'm sorry. I'll have to.
Right. It's fine.
Yeah. I mean, in fairness, this is a song that has been covered.
Oh yeah.
Quite a few.
Yeah. Any jazz song written back in like the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s is going to be 20,000 covers.
So shout out to Gershwin and Gershwin. Fun name. Stewie points at Joe, embarrassing Lois. Joe then tells the story of how he was paralyzed, trying to stop the Grinch at an orphanage from stealing presents.
It's just disgustingly heroic and can do no wrong. And I love that about this because the way as his character develops and eventually devolves into like pathetic at times is pretty brilliant. But yeah, in the early going, he's just this like cannot do anything wrong type character, which is hilarious given the fact he's in a wheelchair. But yeah.
It leads to a rooftop brawl where Joe falls off, becoming paralyzed, but he still hands the present to the little boy. Merry Christmas, Timmy. Like you said, it is set up for him to be like this perfect person. Spoiler alert. The very first time on this show, I think. Spoiler alert, everybody. Be careful if you don't want to be spoiled, I think, for an episode that came out in like 2010. This story is retconned. In a later episode, it's discovered that Joe made this up.
Holy shit. I don't know if I've seen that one.
And that he was paralyzed in a different way.
Oh, wait. I think. Oh, yeah. I'm getting glimpses of it now. I've seen so much Family Guy. But yeah.
So, hey,
retcons
like you said,
happen.
His character changes quite a bit as time goes on throughout the show. So Peter walks around. Actually, I skipped over one here. Stewie doesn't care about Joe's story, demanding to know Joe's technology behind the wheelchair. Peter tries to promise his family a trip to Hawaii to get their attention, which does not work. He states to Lois, "You're not supposed to admire wheelchair people. You're supposed to feel sorry for them." To which Lois responds, basically saying, "Joe's great. He's remarkable." And Peter prances around saying, "Look at me. I'm a remarkable man."
The amount of times I've used that while doing something cannot be counted.
Yeah. It's
been a while because that's an old ass episode, but he's seeing that again. I was like, oh yeah, I used to do that a lot, just doing basic stuff.
Even Brian is won over by Joe and his magic fingers of being able to scratch behind Brian's ears. Joe's a hero. So Peter recalls the time he also made the world a better place by singing to kids at Sunday school, where he sings the Skippy peanut butter jingle.
Jesus loves me. He loves me a bunch, 'cause he always puts Skippy in my lunch.
Holy shit. Like, just tremendous. That's all I can say. God damn it. Peter convinces himself that he can get attention by putting himself in danger. As he runs away, Brian wonders, why are the pretty ones so dumb?
Wait, do we already do the police scanner thing? Or no? Or is that coming next?
That's coming next, yeah.
God, the police scanner bit is one of my favorite lines in this season.
It's literally the next line I have. Stewie is attempting to stalk Joe, leading to him like Tarzan swinging out of a window.
Yep.
As Peter is listening to a police scanner. As Brian walks into the room, he states, "Is it me, or is rap music getting lazier?"
So fucking good. So many songs, so many great songs by great artists have featured some police scanner things. Obviously, one of the most famous ones is the Blind song, April 1992, or 96, as I think they did a later version of it, or maybe it was 94. Anyway, but yeah, so many police scanner things. It's a perfect gag. I love it.
Peter overhears on the scanner that there's a bank robbery. So he decides to head there. First, he heads to the Bat Cave and runs into actual bats.
Yeah, a legit Bat Cave.
Peter drives his family to the bank. As he looks to walk in, the robbers say, "Let's give Tammy the cashier a hand." A round of applause. It's her first robbery. But the robbers eventually turn on the crowd once Peter arrives. Back in the car, Meg asks Lois what to do about Kevin. And eventually she just says, "Well, have you tried showing off the goods?" In the bank, Peter and Brian, who of course accompanied Peter, are hiding under a desk, leading to Peter thinking of the Super Friends and a time where he won a game of strip poker against Wonder Woman, leading to everyone staring at her except for Robin, who is staring at Peter.
The age-old trope, Robin is gay.
God damn it. God damn it. The robbers try to leave as more police arrive. Peter, though, finally does devise a plan as he gets the robbers to do improv, which works to secure the gun. But Peter refuses to escort the hostages out of the bank when he realizes his family are no longer, or realize that his family is no longer in the car, having gone to a shop to buy Meg a new dress.
Yeah. We did skip over some funny-ass lines from Meg. Is earlier on, I think they're at the soccer game, she says that "I can't taste salt" line to Kevin, which, of course, I did not get for years until you get older. And then it made me think, I'm like, why would that work on a guy? Because how would they know what cum tastes like?
You know, I was wondering how you were about to phrase that.
I'm just going to say it. Fucking, it's a cum joke, kids. It's a dirty, dirty cum joke. You see when a man and a woman love each other. No,
welcome to the Birds and the Bees podcast.
Jesus.
Starring two cis white men.
Yeah. There's a cigar. Let me tell you what women want.
Oh, God.
But
Okay, Harrison Butker, calm down.
Jesus. Yeah, I love it. I love the line the cop says in this part where she's trying to get Kevin's attention. I don't know if you're going to bring him up, but I'm going to bring it up right now. But yeah, am I skipping something, or can I bring this up now?
I got like 2 lines before it. So
all right, go for it.
The cops outside see Peter with the gun, so he's nearly shot by police. And then Peter ultimately loses control of the gun back to the robbers. At the Swansons, Bonnie is watching the story break on the news, leading to Joe heading downtown. Back at the bank, Peter puts himself in the line of fire for correcting the speech of one of the robbers, but is still happy when Joe arrives because he thinks the bank isn't wheelchair accessible. So there's no way for Joe to save the day. Peter's still on the case.
Yeah, even though he just, leapfrogged a guy on his way to home plate not that long ago.
Yeah.
Stairs will stop him.
Meg continues to fail to break.
Adversary.
Yeah. Meg continues to fail to break through to Kevin, but a random officer suggests that she ask him questions about himself.
And
leading works. To this is what you wanted, is it not?
No, yeah, just like I just love that line. Ask him about him, like talk to him about him instead, and it works immediately, which is very, very good for just as a joke, I feel like. But yeah, his I love this line so much because he's talking about the music he likes, because he is not a robot, as he shouts, and then he immediately follows it up by saying, I also like Radiohead, which is probably the most robot band ever. Sorry, not sorry.
I listen to Garbage, Fish, Blur. I also like Radiohead. Joe convinces the robbers to surrender, to which Peter, I believe it was Peter, damn stupid robbers and your guns and your makeout parties. Joe is carried away by a happy crowd, allowing Stewie to commandeer the wheelchair, but he can't figure out how to get it to work. As Stewie proclaims the victory will be his, which it's been a little bit since we recorded the first episode of this. Was this the first, or it was one of the first? Like it very much wasn't.
He said
like
it before, I think.
Yeah, I think maybe
he
with
did
the weather
active
machine.
Grenades. Like, well, yes, victory is mine, as he gets his toy back. Yeah, but yeah, victory shall be mine. I don't know if that was I don't know if we've heard that part before, but yeah.
Yeah, Lois pacifies him before he can even finish the sentence anyway. So. Lois reaffirms the family views Peter as a hero for all the brave things he does, like changing the channel when something boring comes on, or eating the last slice of pizza so they don't have to fight over it. Meg thanks him for helping her realize how to manipulate Kevin. And Chris is happy that his dad's a psycho because it'll get him attention at school. And Michelle Kwan thanks him for taking her to practice.
Shout out Michelle Kwan, man. Gosh, she was huge back in that day, man.
Voicing herself, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Michelle Kwan, a 2-time Olympic medalist in figure skating, a 5-time world champion, a 9-time U.S. champion, and currently the U.S. ambassador to Belize.
What?
She
assumed
assumed office.
She gets to live in fucking Belize?
December 5th, 2022, she took office as the U.S.'s official ambassador to Belize.
That's just a fucking paid vacation. Holy crap.
But yeah, shout out to Michelle Kwan. That is quite the history.
I thought you were going to say something like bad, like she's in prison.
No.
I'm like, oh no.
Right, I guess she had a history. She has an article on her Wikipedia page of diplomatic positions, even dating back to 2006.
Wow.
She was named as a diplomacy ambassador by Condoleezza Rice. And then, yeah, like I said, is now the fucking U.S. ambassador.
When the kid's over with this.
So Peter is a hero in his own way and happy to be the hero to his family as he tells an old woman essentially to go away who was yelling for help as her purse was stolen. So, lessons learned. Not the strongest second half to an episode,
Yeah, I'd say
in my opinion.
it peaked quite early.
Once it became more about like the first half is really strong, like right? Like we talked about this episode coming up in the introduction to Joe,
Yeah.
and how it is a strong introduction, right? Like they throw the curveball at you, baseball pun, softball pun intended. They throw the curveball at you of Joe's handicap, and I don't hate the concept of Peter becoming jealous of that, but at the same time, I don't know. To me, it just wasn't it wasn't like the strongest set of jokes, but it did establish the idea that Peter's family kind of knows he's an idiot, but they still love him anyway.
Yeah.
And in their own ways, the family are also kind of dumb, but maybe not quite as dumb as Peter.
Yeah. I think the first half of the episode is like a tier, and then it does kind of fall off after that into more like average territory, but still an overall solid episode. And it's hard to make an incredible episode all the time when you're introducing a character who's probably going to be there for a while.
Right.
But yeah.
So that is episode 5, season 1 of Family Guy. We have 2 episodes to go. Next up, episode 6, The Sun Also Draws.
If I recall, this is a really good episode.
The synopsis being, the episode follows Chris as he is ejected from the Youth Scouts, and Peter drives his family to Scout headquarters to get him readmitted. During a rest stop at a Native American casino, Lois gambles away the family car.
Yes, this is honestly one of my favorite episodes, yeah.
Peter pretends to be a member of the tribe and attempt to get it back, and is sent on a vision quest to prove his heritage, giving him and Chris an opportunity to bond.
And yeah, this is going to be the first... Oh, wait. Is this not the one where Chris becomes a famous artist?
No, that's a different one.
Oh, fuck. I was combining 2 episodes in my head. But this is still a really good episode, but yeah.
So that happens a lot. When we were talking about Joe earlier, and I'm like, it comes out that it's a lie about how he was paralyzed. I was first confusing it with the episode where he loses, like, there's a dude, a thief, and he loses him and is just heartbroken. I lost the perp.
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking. I'm like, I don't remember the alternate cripple story in that episode. But yeah, it must not be that one then, huh?
Yeah, because they do end up retconning. Like I said, I looked it up. It's season 11, episode 5 from November of 2012. Where I'll read the synopsis because who knows if we'll ever make it to this episode. Bobby the Shirt Briggs, the criminal who shot Joe years ago, leaving him in a wheelchair, becomes a fugitive. Maybe that is the episode. Maybe it is that. Is that the one where he? Maybe it is the same episode.
I don't know. I don't remember that name character. I remember I lost the perp, and doesn't he go to the Special Olympics after that? Like, I thought that was that episode. It's so crazy how, like, they can just bleed together sometimes.
Yeah.
These stories. Holy.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, season 1's almost done. Like I said, we got this episode, and then episode 7, Brian, Portrait of a Dog, which is... it's a good one.
Yeah, I can't
That's a
wait
good
for
one.
that one. Yeah.
As well. So... and then, season 1, 7 episodes. Season 2, a little bit longer, 21 episodes.
Yep. Took off, baby. Can't wait.
We'll see how that works out for us. But for now, everybody, we are done here for today. We want to thank you again for listening or watching this particular podcast. Again, we are still in the very early stages of it. So if you could, whether or not you're watching on the YouTube side of things, make sure to do the typical YouTube stuff. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Leave a like, all that happy, fun stuff. And of course, if you are listening on an audio platform, hey, leave us a review, preferably a positive one. Unless you don't like us 54 minutes into an episode of something, in which case, you know what? You've earned it.
Yeah.
You've earned that right to say these guys suck. You're 54 minutes into this episode. You've earned it at that point. Sin, last word goes to you. Until next time, what's the word?
Oh, well, everybody's heard about the bird.
We have a new outro song.